Hi everyone. I'm delighted to be here. This is my first CTO event here. I just moved back from New York, so I'm excited to live again in Madrid. And I have been talking with a few of you and very nice people, and I'm very happy to extend my community and networking here. As I was talking with a few of you, I realized that there are all kinds of companies represented here, from small startups just starting to more mid-scale-ups, large enterprises. I hope this talk resonates with all of you. Everyone is going through the adoption of AI, and it might be scary sometimes. So I came up with this framework that I call fearless AI adoption. But before we get into it, I want to know how many of you, if you can raise your hand, have access to any AI license provided by your company or provided it. I expect everyone, right? We work in tech. Okay, cool. You might be surprised sometimes. How many of you are able to tell me the return of investment of those licenses or the value provided? Yeah, just a handful of them, tiny ones. Okay, perfect. This is the gap between those two is this talk, what this talk is about. This is not a silver bullet plan that works for everyone. There are many plans, many ways to do this, but hopefully this is kind of like a mental model that helps you to know where your org stands in this journey and what comes next.
Really quick clarification question. So you're talking about using AI as final user, like code, etc., not about implementing AI into the product, right?
Yes. AI tooling. Cool. Good question.
Can you repeat it?
Oh yeah. So the question is, can you clarify, this is about building AI applications where you apply AI, or this is about using AI tools in your work? And this is the second part. Yeah, thank you. Before I keep talking, I want to introduce myself. I'm Javier and go by Mosca as our nicknames. I'm right now working for Multiverse, which is a British company focused on the upskilling of employees. And I develop an AI upskilling platform, and that's why I want to share this with the community. Before that, I spent 10 years at Spotify, where I developed new products like Spotify Rap, which is the one that I'm most proud of, and launching new markets as well. But let's get into it. Well, Wild West. You know, in your company, people have access to Claude, ChatGPT, they use free licenses, their own personal licenses. You are concerned about privacy, data, they train models with, so you get scared, right? So you decide, okay, I'm gonna roll out enterprise licenses to all of you. I'm gonna protect my data. And you get out of the way. You let them play around, get familiar with it. And this point is like, okay, we're using AI, good. I don't get any value. Maybe some people are getting value. And then you start to ask the right questions. What's people doing with these tools? Are they going in the same direction? Are they hitting any boundaries or blockers? And then you start to establish some rails. So for example, if you use cursor, you can create cursor rules, right? So then you can say, don't use spaces, use tabs, or simple things like that. Just want to make sure that everyone is working at the individual level, but all of us are going in the same direction. And then as a leader, you start to asking more of the right questions, like, who is using these licenses? What capacity? What's the quality of those? So you look at AI usage. And you heard some of the sponsors are providing those tools as well. This is not a sponsor talk, by the way. But it's good that you have tools available. You can build them yourself. You can look at the dashboards that the tools provide. Claude have a good one, for example. Or you can, if you use multiple license, just buy any measurement. And then around 30% of the employees of a company, in average, use AI tools. That's very expensive. You buy a license that costs a lot of money. Most companies buy multiple licenses. That's a lot of money. And you want to increase that percentage. And that's okay. When it comes to engineering, that percentage is way higher. It starts around 70% and goes up to 90%. But if you look at other functions, that's really, really low. And then another problem we saw is fragmentation. Like, two people, same role, same task, same tool, they use it completely different. One might be what we call an AI champion. The other one might be a casual or practitioner of the AI license. So how do we make the most of that? How do we leverage that AI champion? So that's the next phase. Use centralized learnings. How can you do that? For example, Claude, you can build skills, you can share projects. Gemini, you have gems. There are many ways to centralize. You can create a playbook for your company. So that's when you move from individual people playing around, individual people moving in the same direction, to, hey, I have some AI champions. Let's take big jumps all together because some people are doing really good things here. And then as an engineering leader, you are like, oh, this is very cool. We're moving fast, but how fast? How do I tell the story to my investors, to the board, to the CEO? And then you start to wonder not only AI usage, you start to want to know like how many, talking about engineering, like DORA metrics, like time to deployment, PRs, like any metric. Like you want to have tangible metrics that you can go back to the CEO, to the investors and tell, this is really working for us. And same, there are many tools out there that do that for you. The most important part. A tool might be great, but the people behind it is the key. You need to know who is using the AI tools. Well, probably at this point you already know, and how are they using it. But more importantly, before any of this happens, well, let me step back for a moment. Many times in the news, you read news, company lay off 10% of their employees because productivity gains with AI. They are going to start adopting AI tools. Wow, they let go people because they believe AI is going to make them better. Might be the right reason or not. One of my thoughts is that maybe they let go the AI champions. They don't know yet. Like the 90% of the employees that stay with them are against AI, resistors, detractors. They don't know. It's super important to know your team and whether they are with you or not with you. And this applies to any AI or the culture, the questions that were happening before. So you need to map your org. You hopefully have built the tools to analyze who is using AI, to identify the champions. Secondly, you need to align incentives. You need to make sure that you motivate the people to invest in using their time in AI. It's okay, you have access to the license, you play around, but if it is not a part of your career framework, what should I do it? What's in it for me? So you can create a simple 1, 2, 3, 4 scale from just learning all the way up to an AI champion. It gives you visibility as a leader, and it gives a motivation for them to really take time there. Like maxing out tokens and all of this trending, I don't know about that, but does not align with company goals, career progression, and business outcomes. More importantly, who do you let in and how? Like, okay, I want to build the workforce of the future. I know my team, but who do I hire today? Like, how do I know they are in favor of using AI if I want to use AI? I need to introduce questions in the interview process, like how do you interact with AI? Maybe redo if we have a coding exercise, like make it AI assisted. So you need to have visibility into your workforce, make sure they have the right incentives to invest in AI, and lastly, make sure that any newcomer is in line with where you want to go. In closing, I want to make sure that all of you get more confidence to understand where you are in your journey with AI and what comes next. And this is not a linear journey. You might be back and forth or jump stages, but hopefully this mental model gives you more confidence because now it's on you to embrace AI because it's here and it's making life better, right? Or we believe so. Now it's on you. Thank you very much. I believe we have time for questions, or are we going directly into a debate? Oh, okay, cool. So, questions?
So you mentioned the return of investment right at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
With the change on pricing, that return of investment is harder to justify, let's say, because until now it was the happy hour of licenses. That's true. It's changing and will keep changing, and it will get more and more expensive until it reaches a point of, hey, is it really worth it to have an employee with 3K euros of tokens every month versus having a second employee you know where I'm going. So, did you have the chance to look into this problem? Did you talk with anyone about it? What do you think about it?
So just to make sure I understand your
Yep.
question is how do you measure return of investment to make sure that the licenses are worth it? Or
Yes, but also if you've talked with anyone about what happens when that return of investment is no longer worth it.
Oh, I
Because
see.
until now we're thinking it's completely worth it because it's subsidized.
Yeah.
What will happen? What
Okay.
do you think will happen?
I'm gonna give you an answer, but let me start by saying that no one knows yet. like
The classical it depends.
it depends. Yeah. Like really. I mean, for the presentation, I focus on engineering metrics because that's the easiest one to measure when it comes to return of investment. Like all DORA metrics or the metrics you use are the easier to connect to real AI outcomes. If you move into other departments, it's very difficult to know. So if one metric that is working across many industries or the departments is revenue per employee, like how much the company is generating per employee. But there are many factors that come into play. So I don't have a good answer, to be honest. But I haven't heard anyone that goes back to that position where it's like the licenses are not worth it anymore. I think everyone is still in that or maybe at least in my experience, I believe everyone is still in that exploration phase. And yeah. Cool, thanks.
So, just a quick thing. So, well, in Pulpo, we are, we
We know.
but I just wanted to say that because it's really into the topic. So what we do to measure impact or return of investment in AI tools, and it's difficult to measure revenue in engineering, right? Because it depends on the outcome of the features that you are launching and that. But an easy way to do it is with DORA metrics. What we measure in Pulpo is the impact. So we detect what engineers are using AI tools and when, in which PRs, which lines of codes. We build cohorts on the tools and we detect the differences between active users or non-active users, and you can compare the tools and this kind of thing. So an easy way to do it is measure the differences between the metrics that you already have.
That's great. But my point is going more, how do you set the budget so you don't overspend on it now that it's no longer free or subsidized? So the revenue per employee, it's a good metric, although really hard to really make it right,
Yeah.
let's say, or whatever. But yeah, it makes me think about it. I agree, there's not a good answer right now.
Yeah.
You need to live in the metrics you have, and that's it.
Yeah. And also, I mean, right now, at least what I'm seeing right now is that even though you don't have an exact metric on how much more revenue or the ROI exactly of the tool, you have an intuition that, I mean, of course, it's super worth it because I'm using this right now and it's a no-brainer, right? So yeah,
There's an opportunity cost, obviously, also if you stop using it, right?
yeah,
You lose all the learnings.
totally.
One point only. So, for example, even in outside of the space of development, I push a lot on my team to use this kind of tools in all across the team. Okay, customer success, sales, and so on. I mean, he is Alvaro from sales. Till now, he spends a lot of
I'm on the other spectrum of AI champions.
yeah. So he wastes a lot of time doing presentation for clients, and now with co-design, with cloud design and Gamma and all these tools, it's 10 of minutes. So as Marco says, maybe we don't know the right ROI that we are achieving per employee, but we don't need to calculate it today. Maybe tomorrow when the licenses are 1K, the 10K, maybe we can start to talk about it and we will see. It will happen. We are all in the same line. But for now, I always say to them, like, do whatever you can do now and focus on produce today and let's see tomorrow.
That's something I can.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about hiring and the kind of questions that you need to ask to people that you're interviewing. I wanted to get your perspective on whether to hire juniors and what are the new questions, I guess, whether or how to hire juniors and what are the new kind of skills or questions that you would ask them. And also if you can elaborate a bit on what is the new kind of skill sets that you need to train them in.
I love this question, and it's perfect timing for it because I'm just hiring a junior engineer, and I just, together with my team, we created the interview process for junior engineers. It's the best time to hire junior engineers. Like everyone is fighting for the seniors, and yes, there is a lot of people out in the market. Yeah, I mean, it depends on your needs at all, but at the end of the day, all of us are learning, and yes, having the fundamentals right helps a lot. But juniors are able to learn faster in many ways. So when it comes to hiring junior engineers, some of the questions is less focus on the traditional coding exercise, and or at least this is what working for us. I don't know if it will work for everyone. So it's a take-home assessment, a coding exercise, AI assisted. They can use any AI tool they have. Okay. We give them a starting point with some pitfalls that they need to overcome, and then we do like a live code review, which is most of the case what the real job is going to be, right?
So they review code that has planted errors in it?
Oh, no, we send them an email with an exercise.
Okay.
Take your time to do it. It's going to take 1 or 2 hours. Then we have the 1 hour interview where we start from what they have accomplished and do a live code review, mostly to see, like any code review, how they interact, how they react to feedback, if they make any changes. And from there, we ask them for an extension exercise. Because we want to see how they drive AI, how do they follow a structured approach, how is their communication, collaboration, which is in reality what they are going to do in their day-to-day. So that's one part. Then there is system design, because that's still valuable. Most of the times they haven't designed a system yet, so asking them to design something from scratch is too much. So we ask them to describe something they have worked on. Same, we are not asking for their theoretical knowledge, but we want to know how they evaluate trade-offs and problem-solving skills. And lastly, some behavioral questions where we ask tell me about how you use AI to change a task, a project at work, or how you use it in any way. And this is just the beginning. We rolled it out like literally last week, and I'm sure we will take it. But I think it's a good starting point. And I'm starting to see great candidates that make me hesitate more than senior engineers in many ways. Yeah. Maybe, since we are getting to know each other, you can say your name and your company?
Yeah, I'm Williams. I'm from Nova Talent. Just wanted to get your perspective because you were talking about AI champions, adoption, and I see that clearly in my team. I have like great people doing amazing things with AI. And in the other end, and this is for me the tricky part, because in the other end I have like great engineers that are not really adopting it as quickly but their work is like flawless, right? So it's a weird point, right, between pushing them to adopt and to take new AI tools, which, and again, this is my opinion because I don't have like the data because this is very new. I think it's going to help them a lot. And if they are great now, I think they're going to be 10 times greater. But it's hard to push when they are delivering value. Yeah. So like, how do you bridge that gap, let's say, and put together this AI champion that might be maybe not a great engineer, but gets the job done, right? And is using all the AI tools available. And this great, more classic engineer, right? That is getting a lot of job done, but is not adopting as quickly as the rest. Like, I don't know if you have done it, but I don't know if you, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it comes down to the organizational transformation that I was mentioning. If you align the incentives, they might move into that direction, both engineers. So for example, if you introduce in the career framework, like the AI journey, you will expect the engineers that are not using AI, but are delivering value, to start adopting AI up to a level where they're really using it to add value. On the other hand, you have the other engineer that is weaker on those areas that you mentioned, but they're super strong on the AI pillar, to say it that way. So then, at the end of the day, you have like different skills in the team. So it's important to align incentives in this case, I would say. There is
Hi, it's Alex from Stray. I will see a lot of great questions. Mine are two simple questions. If you have to choose, it's not about the return of investment. It's about more a metric. How you identify your first metric that you have to choose to say using this tool is something successful? Like, when we start using the AI to improve our code, it's like how many lines of code I have generated. I think that metric is a pitfall completely. But how you, in talking in a general way, which one is the first metric that you start to measure to say, okay, is something successful? This.
Well, with a simple question, I'm going to give you a simple answer. So I'm going to go back to basics. At the end of the day, as engineering leader, you are looking after a budget and you are buying a software license. So the most basic one is usage. Like, I'm paying for this tool. Are people really using it? For me, that's the very beginner. Like, people are using it. Secondly, which is going into your question, right? The one I like the most is like PRs. I know people can create like really tiny PRs or larger ones, but that's really like a standard metric through many years. So basically, stay back to basics and don't get complicated with metrics. Yeah.
Okay, and the second one, that it's kind of a more difficult question. Sometimes it's hard to learn how to use a tool that is based on AI. And sometimes the tool is not very well done or evolved or doesn't produce some quality. How you can say, okay, I will spend one day using this tool, and if doesn't produce the result that I'm expected, I'm stopping to use. How you can reach that I have to stop to use this? I mean, which is your metric or which is your opinion about stopping using a tool that seems not to be so mature?
Just a clarification, are you asking about a specific like tool?
No, not a specific tool. Imagine that you are making PowerPoints and you start using a new tool that is making PowerPoints for you, and say, okay, if I spend one day making a PowerPoint for a client, it will be more or less enough. But this tool has so much hallucinations, for example, or doesn't understand me correctly, that I have to spend 2 or 3 days and understand what that tool has done to produce the same result. How you choose to use or not to use a tool? How do you measure the maturity of the tool?
I see. Great question. This is something I didn't cover before. But this doesn't sit in one single person. Even if you are CTO or engineering leader, you don't have all the answers. So something that we did is having like a working group with different perspectives that is analyzing these AI tools and moving them through the different life cycles of general software, like from exploration to or trialing to general availability to deprecated, right? We do this with versions of Java or anything or any other software. So with AI, it needs to be this working group that is analyzing all the tools that you have available, and maybe this scenario, you catch it up earlier on in that trial phase before moving to general availability. So you mitigate like spending a lot of money in licenses. This group is important that has different perspectives. Maybe it's not only engineers, maybe it's also junior, senior, seniority, but product design and other functions as well. So hopefully it's same, back to basics. You are buying a software, a license to something that it needs to go through all the life cycles.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, and one last question here.
Okay. I'm in trouble now.
I was thinking in platforms we spend a lot of time trying to identify those patterns that are happening in many different teams, and then you want to centralize them and create those golden paths or whatever you want to call them, so you get some advantage of doing that. And the model, if the model is not linear and we're in a phase where exploration is at its peak, how do you think about what to centralize and what to keep, like every team can do whatever they want? Because that is really difficult to answer.
So this is Fran, right? Yeah. This is what Fran was saying before. Like, is you let them do it organically. Like at this point in time, it's very difficult to know what's the best way to do it. Like what's working for one thing, one person might not work for another one, or they might do it better. So at this point, it's very difficult to evaluate what playbook or skill or anything. It's good that there is a working group, or at least like a Slack channel or a group where people are sharing those ideas and they are doing the yes and feeding each other. So at this point, I will let it happen organically. I don't think we're at that stage yet. Yeah.
Agreed.
If I can add one thing. So we are a small company, okay, and maybe it doesn't apply to your companies and so on. But for example, in our case, what we do always is on Mondays, we have a meeting, a 30 minutes meeting that is called Set AI Use Cases. So everyone is testing and everyone is exploring. And we in this era where the velocity is completely scarce, the best way to check if something works or not is let everyone test and put in common. So in this way, when I arrive with something that maybe is completely coding stuff, then someone from customer success realized that maybe I can start to use this tool to another part. So a lot of my team is using Cloud Code, and we are only 2 engineers. The rest, all of them are using Cloud Code. So how many of you are using Cloud Code? Okay, how many of you have changed to Codex? Why? Because you have tested. So, and I have been a power user for Cloud Code till the maximum since the beginning. And now I realize that maybe I can switch, and I have switched, and it works. And we have a lot of learns from Cloud Code, the skills, all the stuff. We have learned a lot about the environment that maybe doesn't fit completely exactly into Codex, but you have you start to think on skills. And if you imagine how many of engineers doesn't know anything about that. We believe in a bubble. I mean, a completely bubble. I always talk with people, and it's like I feel that everything is like moving forward and forward and forward. But then when you talk with the rest of people, you say it's like, no, we are 5 here. Okay, so yeah, test it and put in common with all your team always, and that's all.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like create those spaces and forums for them to share, because we are still figuring it out. We don't know yet.
Okay, big applause for Javi.
Thank you very much.